Anne O'Hare McCormick once said, "Today, the real test of power is not capacity to make war, rather capacity to prevent it." Keep this in mind as we discuss today. United States defense budget that has been approved, which reaches about $858 billion. And what does it mean for the global security moving forward? My name is Dr. David Waradu.
And my name is Dr. Ross Stewart.
And you are watching Geopolitics in Conflict.
Intense demand and diminishing supply have sent home prices soaring, and there's collateral damage from the housing shortage, record rent increases.
The U.S. has now spent more than $13 billion to support Ukraine in the past year and a half.
According to the Associated Press, advocates estimate the homeless make up half of heat-related deaths in the U.S.
We think it's a disease we can't cure, that it's some type of, rare blood cancer we don't know the answer to. No, it's really not that complicated.
After the end of the day, when people go home and everybody get on the message train, and they might feel so bad that I can't be going home.
The world is random, meaningless, chaos, or is it? How do some of the best, wealthiest, and most powerful people seem to know what's coming before it happens? Well, one way is that they create the circumstances in their favor, but the other is that they know how to read the world's stage and spot patterns and trends in key areas. They don't get lost in the overwhelm of endless information. They know what's important to pay attention to using their own formulas, and most importantly, they know where to put that information to actually make it usable. Would you like to be able to do the same thing? Well, we have a course that teaches you to do that exact same thing. It's called No Nonsense Politics. So if you want the leg up that some of the world's brightest have, as well as an online community of people who think for themselves just like you, check it out. Link in the description box below.
Here's the question of the day. When in doubt, what should we do? Spend more money on national defense.
Throw money at the problem.
Yeah, as if that's a solution.
It's gonna solve it. Well, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah, and how well's it worked?
It didn't.
Unending wars that the United States lost, every one.
I know
since
it's
World
not a
War II.
laughing matter, Ross, because it's a taxpayer's money.
It's our money.
It's our money. So it's not a laughing matter. And as I always say, sometimes I laugh or whatever. I'm not laughing out of laughing. I'm laughing out of concern. It's because I see there is no end in sight. Where are we going with this?
Well, one of the places we're going is escalating inflation. Where does this money come from? It comes from creating fiat currency from the Federal Reserve, which means inflation, 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 inflation.
Yeah, well, this is why this budget now, it's $858 billion, And by the way, we're not talking about the supplemental. Basically, when you add the supplemental, you're looking at over $1 trillion in defense budget. What for? But this is where it's important to understand the reason for why, and that's why the reason we are here, to provide this brief analysis about it, and what will it mean for the future global security moving forward. You take this within the context of what's going on in Ukraine, of course.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. So, the way I see it personally, because I read a part of what the bill is all about, and I saw that Taiwan is going to be receiving about $1 billion a year. Because this budget, by the way, that's for 2023, for next year.
And what are they supposed to do with this $1 billion?
You want me to tell you?
I want you to tell me.
Because, and I'm going to say straightforward, that's an indication. This is my personal opinion, by the way. That's an indication for where the next conflict is. That's the way I see it. Because you need to think, you need to remember, when I say you, I'm referring to you as well, all of us. 2024, what's going to happen in Taiwan?
New election, new president.
Exactly.
And what we're going to see is, do the Taiwanese people want a closer relationship with mainland China? Or do they really want to move away from mainland China, which isn't going to happen?
Well, that's the local elections, sort of, to me, that was an indication for that. Could it that the reason why the U.S. increased the budget?
I wonder.
Yeah, it's
We're
a
looking
fair
at
question.
patterns and trends.
Yeah, it's a fair question. It's a fair
And
question.
so if they're going to put $1 billion there, what is it for? What's the pattern? What's the trend? The next conflict is coming, and it's going to be China.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised. I've been arguing this for quite a while. I do know once the dust settles on the Ukraine conflict, which it will not happen anytime soon, by the way. No, the next one's going to be in Taiwan. Now, let me ask you. You're a psychologist by training, right, Russ? Let me ask you a question.
I've got a PhD in it. So
Just PhD. In it.
yeah.
And
decades of
40 years.
experience.
And 40 years of experience. That's just that. But anyway, and by the way, just to let you know how much I'm learning from even sitting with you here in the studio when you talk about the concepts of psychology. Some of them I don't know. And I'm just listening and it's like, interesting. I didn't know. So here's the thing. What I wanted to do, Russ, is just to put this under the lenses of psychology. This particular issue of adding into the budget, that will be from the American perspective, but the $1 billion for Taiwan. So let's start with the Taiwan first. And I'm going to ask you a question, and you can help me out psychologically explain it. If the United States, not if, the United States already made it clear that they're going to be allocating the $1 billion. How do you perceive people in Asia as a whole, not just in Taiwan or neighboring country, in Asia, in Far East? How will they perceive this?
They're going to see the United States as fermenting disturbance and perhaps conflict leading to war. They're going to see the United States as a potential enemy to the whole region.
So they are not going to be reassured. They're going to be concerned, in your opinion, psychologically.
I think they're going to be terribly concerned. I mean, there's this bias that says these emerging economies don't have a lot of smart people there. That's wrong.
That's wrong.
They got a lot of smart people who understand the implications of, okay, the United States is going to put $1 billion there. They're going to use it for military reasons. It's going to destabilize the region. And who's going to suffer? Everybody in the region. And certainly the United States people here are going to suffer from it as well.
Yeah, and that was my next point, because we talked about the Asian people there, how they're going to be perceived. What will happen to the American people if we put this issue of the U.S. increased spending by this much? As a matter of fact, just FYI, the budget that's been approved, which I have the stats for it right here, Ross, it was approved by 350 to 80 votes. Okay? That's just to give you an idea. How will Americans now interpret this?
It's going to be a real mixed bag of things. There are those people who say, well, if the United States government says it, it must be true. And so these people, they really are our enemy. Those people who are really paying attention are going to be very concerned because they see this as a festering situation that has the potential to get real ugly real fast. That means American troops on the ground. That means more spending away from American issues to this war effort.
Yeah. And we are already sending more billions to Ukraine at the, while America is almost falling apart. I'm going to say it straightforward.
Yeah.
I did some reading in some think tanks just to see what's, because usually think tanks will have to cater, some of them, not all, I shall not generalize, some of them will have to cater towards what the government wants people to know. As one who went through the process of research, and you understand, and you know this more than anyone else, how it works as far as the outcome of research. So it becomes the question for, you look at, I looked at like homelessness, for example.
Oh my God.
I looked at the education. I looked at the healthcare.
You could look at the infrastructure. You could look at so many of these issues that are solvable.
Yeah, and yet the amount of money is going to Ukraine.
Going to the Ukraine and other wasted places. And I use the word wasted. And it's not unabashed, it's just wasted money. And you take a look at the amount of casualties in these places.
Yeah.
They're unspeakably awful. And the United States is fostering it.
Yeah. Well, that's why they got issues like in big cities, New York City, LA, all those, it's very...
Let me add one point
Sure.
there, because, one of the things we do is we follow a number of these issues. So they said, okay, Here's the issue with homelessness. What would it's, and how much it costs already. And there was an estimate put out by the federal government that said, we can get these units of $15,000 each that are small houses, they're tiny homes, and for $20 billion, we could put every homeless person in one.
Wow, 20 billion.
Hold it, we just sent 37, I mean, it
I know
just
what
is
you mean.
absurd. And we have American citizens sleeping on the street. In San Francisco, they've made it legal to sleep on the street now.
But where are they going to go?
They have no place to go. And you say, well, they're lazy, sick, crazy, something.
No.
And a whole lot of these people are not. They were caught off guard when some portion of the economy shrunk. And they were victimized by it. Now, are there some pretty sick, crazy people out there? Of course there are, but not at this numbers.
No.
These are victimized by something in the economy. And we have the capacity to do something about it. And Elon Musk come up with this $15,000 solution. They can own their own home.
Yeah. Well, I got my big question marks about Elon Musk himself. So it's somebody that I sent a tweet one day and I said, "Are you a fraud?" That's what I said. You know, I don't trust the guy. That's just me. Again. Speaking of homelessness, you know, if I may share a story with you here briefly here. I had one day a conversation with a homeless person.
Yeah.
Okay. And it turns out that the homeless person was a former special op in the U.S. military.
Oh, no.
I was just floored.
A highly trained person,
Yeah.
highly
And
disciplined.
he's homeless. He was with his bike and the dog in front. It really pained me. It pained me to see what has become of somebody who was in the U.S. military. As a veteran myself, you left to wonder. And I'm not saying things will be handed to him. That's not what I'm saying. It just makes you wonder what led him to that condition to go from this to this. And at the same time, the government is just wasting taxpayers' money like it's nobody's business. And this is why I'm seeing at this budget, 858 billion. What for?
And you know, you look at how the vote went on this, it was like 350 congressmen to 80 who opposed.
Yeah.
You say, where is the priority here? Yeah. What are these people thinking? You know, we talked about consensual validation and we talked about groupthink.
Yeah.
And groupthink has to do with taking a psychotic belief and everyone enrolls in it. It has no connection to the reality or a value system that says this is what's important.
Wow.
Going so 350 to 80? Wow.
Yeah, that's where it's going. So, and this is why we wanted to bring this topic to the fore, providing our brief analysis on it to understand. The bottom line to all this is, watch for the next conflict is going to be in Taiwan Strait. And again, I'm not surprised. It pains me to say it, but that's what lies ahead moving forward. All right, well, I hope you find this informative. And as always, prepare yourself for a changing world order. Till next time. Bye-bye.